Greetings again, everyone. It's me, Nick Michalak, and the exceptional Steve Frazier.
Well, hello again.
And we are continuing on the Scream commentary series with Scream 6.
A.K.A. Scream Too Many.
But, guys, if you have your own copy of Scream 6, get your timestamp over to 0 to sync up the commentary and turn on your subtitles to follow along with the film. So we'll get going with a countdown. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. So, I did not rewatch the one prior to this, going into this one.
Sure.
I had not seen this. Peek behind the curtain, you loaned me your copy several months ago, at this point, I think.
About a month ago, it's thereabout.
I don't even remember when it was.
Anyway, right.
But I watched it. I had not seen it. I watched it for the first time. Spyglass, always one of my favorite opening things. I don't know why. It sticks out to me. Arguably just as iconic as, say, Castle Rock or one of those other ones. And that's a push-button phone. I was like kind of struggling to remember exactly what the events of the previous one were.
Okay.
Just because I feel like we've already gotten to the point where it's so convoluted.
Okay.
That, I don't know. Like, the leap from into part 4, I thought was really good. Like, enough time had gone by. It was a younger relative. Like, I thought
and
it was...
there are fresh things to say about the genre, too.
Correct. And, I feel like every movie, Reggie...
Not the Reckless.
No. I feel like every movie has... The whole point of the movie is to just comment on the state of current horror.
A little bit, yeah.
And it's annoying.
Okay.
Like, the first one was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is, like, the gimmick... So, the previous one, Scream 5, which was actually just called Scream...
Yeah.
Just so that they could have a
Confusingly so.
Just so they could have a whole monologue about the requel.
Yeah.
A.K.A. reboot sequel.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Because, like, does 4 fall in the same line? I mean, granted, they're all in context, but 4 feels like more a part of the first one than it does 5 and 6.
Yes, it does.
So, okay. So, 5 is the requel.
Yeah.
And... we get about halfway through this one, we get the big giant speech.
Yeah.
That talks about, like, the franchise, or I forget what the line is. And it's like, I feel like, all right, well, I already don't like this concept.
Okay.
And now we're blatantly making fun of it. So it's like, I wish there were no requels. Let alone movies about requels that talk about requel.
Sure.
It's like, movies like Friday the 13th almost became anthological. Mm-hmm. Every story, even though it had kind of the same character in it, there were really no ties to previous movies.
You don't need to watch the first 2 to watch 3. It really makes no difference, really.
Right. Each one is its own self-contained unit.
Right.
But
also, the Scream franchise focuses on a different killer each time, but it's the same survivors, same kind of group of characters, kind of follow them on the journey through the terror that they experience. So it's a little bit of a different approach to a franchise.
I get that. Maybe it's just my inherent hatred of continuing things that don't need to be continued.
Sure.
And I would much rather have an original story than, like a reboot or another entry into a franchise.
Okay.
I find it very weird that this character would abandon her seat at the bar. Like, did she pay her tab? You know what I mean?
A little bit on that, yeah.
I was like, And they gave her an Australian accent just to be interesting.
It's Samara Weaving. I'm familiar with the name, but nothing that she's done.
Like, is she supposed to be the Drew Barrymore here? Where...
The fact that I know the name, but I've obviously she is Australian. But I don't think I've ever seen a single film she's probably been in.
Was she in
Nothing here strikes a chord with me.
Was she in one of those, like, crossover American horror movies? What was that one with the barbed wire baseball bat? That was terrible. Maybe she was, I guess my point is, are we supposed to know her as somebody? And then when she dies, we get like, oh shit, she's not really the person, whatever.
Well, I'm looking on the Wikipedia, there's like, she was in that new Bill and Ted movie, she was in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but nothing like high profile that I can say, like, yeah, that was a breakout type of hit.
Like, at this point in the Scream franchise, this setup isn't even entertaining anymore, in my opinion.
I mean, I'll say that the opening is interesting, but you really can't pull off the same thing you did with Drew Barrymore in the first film because we're too familiar with everything. We already know we're following a certain group of characters, and if you introduce a brand new person at the beginning of it, it's a little harder to kind of pull that off, because I mean, when they did it with the second film, Jenna Ortega had not blown up yet. She was an actress, but she hadn't done like the Wednesday Addams series where she really grew up and what blew up in her popularity or whatnot. So it's like, oh, it's a new character, but it's not something like that mega star level where it'd be a Swerve or something else like that. So
now this is the first time that they've ever just revealed a killer
off the bat, yeah,
right,
which makes it
at least somewhat
with me
new.
Sitting in the theater watching, okay, this is an interesting approach. What are they going to do with that? And I can kind of say that they're good at making interesting opens, but they feel like they kind of struggle with the landing at the end of the film. The climax maybe isn't quite as imaginative or innovative or ambitious. They kind of fall a little too much into the same old tropes at some points in time.
Interesting that they said it at Halloween.
It's a nice touch.
It's a little... I don't really just want to shit on the whole thing all from the beginning here. I don't mean to do that. I guess it's a nice background. But how many other backgrounds could you have that would even be believable? You know? To your point, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to just show you from the killer's point of view this story. Yeah. Which, in a way, we do, at least for a little bit. And again, we're setting up the idea that there's two of them. I'm still very confused as to how someone gets a hold of this exact voice.
Sure, yeah.
You know? Like, oh, it's just a filter that anybody can put on their phone, so anybody can sound like this?
I mean, at least in the fourth one, they say, well, there's an app. They say that there was an app designed for it, so people are using it.
So, that means you and I can both get the app and sound exactly like this?
That's their conjecture.
All right.
But then even in the previous one, okay, when you have the entire scene when Dewey gets it,
and they're watching
Jason
Takes Manhattan. Because this is a Paramount movie, right?
It's a Paramount movie, yeah. And, of course, the film's set in...
Manhattan.
Set in Manhattan as much as... shot in Manhattan as much as that film was. They shot most of this thing in Montreal.
Well, at least it's not as convoluted...
Right.
...of a scenic,
right.
You know...
Yeah. They're actually setting it in the actual place they promised.
Right. I actually thought of you recently, Nick.
No.
If anyone's ever gone back or listened to our Takes Manhattan commentary, you'll know that we joked about it being Camp Crystal River.
Yeah.
Because they literally get on a river and end up in the ocean.
Float down the river towards
right.
the ocean.
So, recently, it might have been during hurricane coverage or something, where there is an actual town, I think in Florida, that's called Crystal River.
Uh-huh.
And it made me laugh out loud, thinking, oh, this must have been where that Manhattan movie took place. I do find it interesting that people stay on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, just hang up the phone.
Sure.
I don't even know if I would answer the phone. Like, I realized
I
it was...
don't recall the last time I answered a call on my phone. I really can't. Well, it's because all I get is junk fucking calls.
Yeah, well, I get calls from work. Most of my calls are either from family, my mom, my dad, or my work colleagues. Friends don't usually call.
Yeah.
Usually.
I just text everyone now.
I'm wondering, like,
It's bizarre, because I had a certain point in time when I had a flip phone. It's like, don't fucking text me. I don't like fucking texting.
But now it's so convenient.
Now it's just like, fuck it. How am I going to call someone?
Oh, fabric softener. That's a giant gallon
Of generic
softener. That's not even the detergent. That's the additive. So, like, now this is the Drew Barrymore scene. Kind of. You know what I mean?
It kind of turns it on that way.
Like, what was the one? Was it 3 that opened with, like, the parody of the... 4 opened that way?
Where they did the constant reboot type of thing.
Right, okay.
Movie inside a movie.
That's kind of how this feels. Like,
a little bit.
We had the opening scene.
Yeah.
And then...
It's interesting as a swerve, because you're setting this whole thing up, and it seems like a very interesting thing to reveal a killer, but then it's like, okay, there's another set of killers here working against the other killers? Okay.
Right.
It makes it intriguing.
Agreed. This looks like the Miramax logo.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So, I agree with you. It's interesting.
Yeah.
There's old Times Square. Although there's 72nd Street, which is 20 blocks away from Times Square. Yeah, that's Washington Park. I don't know. Like, to your point, trying to stay positive about it, they've come up with at least an error or an aura of...
mystique.
Yeah, like, I don't really know what's going on, which is great. Any time you can, give me a surprise or make it not predictable.
Sure.
Not to say that the other ones in this franchise were predictable. But I mean, even the last one, you could kind of see it coming.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I will say that when I watched this for the first time a month or two ago, I kind of saw it coming. Not necessarily all of the Right, but like the characters within the group that end up being bad guys, I was like, yeah, I think they're the killers. Like, I just kind of felt it right away.
Okay.
And even though they try really hard to red herring them and make it...
I feel this... Because I watched everything.
Right, you watched 1 through 6.
I watch everything in pairs, so I go from the first screen to the second one. The second one felt like a bit of a fall-off. It definitely felt like a distinctive fall-off.
Well, definitely because Jada Pinkett's in it, and that ruins everything.
But then I go to 3 to 4. It's like... That was a good time because it was an upswing. I like 5 better than I did a little bit more than the last time when we did the commentary. I felt it flowed a little bit better when I wasn't quite as thinking critically about it and just kind of going with the flow of it. It's like there's still problems with it, but I felt like it still kind of captured a little bit of the energy of the first film a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at 5 and 6, I think there's some things that 6 does a little bit better than 5, but there's some things that really just still kind of misses in a lot of places.
Yeah. The best parts of 5 and the best parts of 6 would have made a great movie.
Yeah.
None of them have ever been as good as 1.
4 is the closest.
4 is the closest
one, because I still dug the hell out of that one.
I agree. Now, this scene I enjoy. You know, she's trying to get therapy. She's frustrated with the therapist for not actually, like...
engaging as much.
Right. So then she ramps it up and really reveals, and he cuts it off and says, never mind.
Yeah.
What I don't like is this whole idea that they're blaming her and saying she actually did it.
I mean, eventually, by the end of it, they swing it back around, but it's still...
It's too much.
It feels like even the therapist, who doesn't seem like he knows anything about it, suddenly just clams up and is like, no. Shuts down completely.
Well, I
feels
think...
a little too...
To me, the therapist felt more like, I'm not equipped to handle this, as opposed to, I think you're guilty.
Well, even the fact, like, I got to inform the police of this stuff, it's like, well, I haven't even threatened to even do anything. You're just going off the handle immediately. It feels a little too jump to the conclusion of certain things.
Right. We've already...
A therapist is supposed to be kind of working through the psychology to work as the therapist.
The entire point the idea that she is sitting in the therapy means that she was not criminally charged with anything that she just confessed to.
No.
So why not help her through their trauma instead of being traumatized yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, Quinn's fucking.
Yeah.
But that's not her, right? That doesn't seem like long enough of a time to go from moaning to dressed in the hallway.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I do like a redhead.
Mm-hmm.
Much more than her. She's wearing way too much makeup.
Kind of liked her look better in the previous film where she had kind of like the lighter highlights in the hair. I just found that a little more attractive to me or whatnot. Lack of a better word.
That is a great line, actually. I like this redhead is a lot of character.
Yeah, she's really, really good. I like her performance. I like the writing.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Here we get to comment on some of the great costumes. Or not so great costumes. Yeah. They're very movie costumes, not real costumes. there's a ghost face with painted face.
Interesting.
And both of these two were in the previous one, yes? Only the one on the right.
Not the left.
Okay.
Yeah. She's Randy's niece.
Correct.
It's weird. I don't remember from the last film, but their last names are hyphenated. It's Meeks-Martin. So I don't know. Nice if they explained a little bit more about the family dynamics, because you never see the father or anything like that.
Right. And Randy was, what's his name?
Jamie Kennedy?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Kennedy.
yeah.
Okay, I was thinking it was the other one.
No.
For some reason, I was thinking that Jamie Kennedy was the one that was her relation.
No. Again, Sam and Tara are half-sisters because Sam's father is Billy Loomis.
Right.
So.
Who's Skeet Ulrich?
Yes.
Okay. Again, it's a little, I don't know. Everyone being related to everyone is weird.
On the high convenience. How about village people?
Yeah, no kidding. Although one of them is a Viking, not Viking.
Knight of the Round Table.
Yeah, knight. Yeah. Yeah, almost borderline Monty Python-ish.
Yeah.
Even though there was a Monty Python in the in the street. And she's Harry Potter. That's an interesting choice.
I don't know. I guess. With the wand.
Yeah, well, she's got the scar on her head, too.
Oh, okay.
The little lightning bolt. I know you're not in on this.
No, I don't know.
You see, when Harry was a baby... Never mind.
We don't have time for this. There's like 8 films.
And 7 wonderful books. Some of the best books I've ever read.
Okay.
I do kind of like that everyone is protective of her.
Yeah.
Because these two are brother and sister, right?
Yeah.
The woman...
Chad and Mindy, yeah. It feels like a family.
Right.
They're all kind of looking out for one another.
Well, right. They're the survivors.
Yeah.
The fact that they are all ended up here
Yeah.
is a little convenient.
I mean, it is, again, following template off of Scream 2. Now everyone's in college, and they're all together.
Right.
So, I mean...
Right. Saved by the Bell to college years.
Sure, yeah.
Girl Meets World, or...
Sure.
You know, that 90s show. Like, it's
Yeah.
just... I'm siding with her on this one, by the way. Like, she's in college. She's trying to move on with her life.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is you can kind of see both of their perspectives, because Sam, she's been dealing with the psychosis thing from all the fallout with the family and the knowledge of the Billy Loomis parentage and everything like that. So she's been dealing with psychosis and pills and therapy for a long time.
She's also the one that pulled the trigger.
Right.
You know, so that also impacts you.
Yeah, so she's well entrenched in that stuff, trying to face the trauma, and she's more just the one who hasn't had to really deal with it so much up front.
So here's another one of, like, this is a very similar problem that I've had in other commentaries we've done, where you've got a movie like Halloween where seemingly nobody in the town knows what's happened, or Elm Street, where it all happens in the same place, yet nobody in town ever knows anything about what happened before. Now, we've got a girl who's moved to the literally biggest city in the United States.
Yeah.
And 4 girls walking by happen to know exactly who she was and exactly what happened in 3 states away. Like, that does not add up to me. And shit like that, like, takes me out of the movie. Like, I stop.
Okay.
Like, why do they care? How do they know?
I mean, my thing is not that critical about the thing, because, I mean, as we go along, I mean, one is social media. Stuff spreads like wildfire all over the place.
Maybe. But how many murders happen yesterday that you and I on social media haven't learned about?
But also, they have been turned into a series of films based on real events and offshoots of that stuff that become a major franchise of films that there's a wide fan base about to stir up that sort of discourse.
All right. I don't know if you're changing my mind, but I see your point.
Yeah.
I don't know. If anybody's watching this, drop in the comments. Not that you have to pick a side between us, but...
Your own opinion, yeah.
Right. Let us... What do you think? Is it believable that random people in New York City would know who this woman even is? I feel like it's not.
Well, so if it's on a college campus and word gets around, I can see that, too.
Well, sure. And these two had no chemistry together in the previous movie.
Well, they really didn't share any scenes together because
Okay.
she was mostly up in the hospital the whole time, so they really didn't have that much interaction.
But I do kind of like that they're getting together now.
Yeah, I like that. That's a progression of characters to evolve the relationships here and there.
That is hilarious. I really like the redhead. I really like this guy, too.
Yeah. Jason Gooding. He's really tight.
I find the two sisters, I think, to be my least likable characters of the whole group.
Okay.
I think everybody else is a likable, fun personality. I just get tired of these two bitching like sisters, I guess.
I can get that. That's a good
Great. Yes. Love that. That is every teenage girl on their bed. This scene really caught me off guard.
Okay.
Because he's drinking Coors. I'm kidding. No. Not true. But they had a great setup, and all of a sudden there's this. And you're like, oh, they do know each other.
For some reason, it feels kind of New York. This kind of clandestine relationship that you're kind of keeping secret from people around you.
This guy, though, has great charisma.
Oh, he's good. The odd thing is, he looks like he's about 10 years older than she is, but he's only about 4 years older. He was born in 86. She was born in 1990. But even then, that still kind of makes it feel New York. It's like it really doesn't matter. It's like if you find someone, they spark with you. It just something about that vibe or whatnot.
Yeah, I really like their chemistry. Like And you can understand his point of view, like,
Yeah.
it stinks that I have to be so, like, in the shadows.
Yeah, yeah. But he gets it. He's not pushing her forward. He's not kind of resenting her for it or anything like that. It's like, okay, we got something going on. I want him to wait it out.
That chode. The dialogue is so good.
It's a lot snappier than the last one.
Yeah.
Because they got one film, though. Even if some of them didn't work scenes together, they at least got to know each other's actors, so they've built up a little bit of a chemistry and camaraderie, and they can snap on that a lot better with the writing and everyone working together.
Right, but even like the redhead,
yeah, she's good.
She has some great delivery.
Yeah, the entire interaction in the bedroom, that was like super snappy stuff.
With the cock
really
block,
worked.
and he says, "Stop saying cock." I love that.
Yeah. Even she's really good too.
Yeah, is it Mindy? Is that her name?
Mindy's the black girl.
Yeah. She is
the girlfriend, Annika.
Right. And Mindy, I think, has like excellent stage presence, screen presence. Yeah. So here's the guy that everyone gets confused with the guy from the Saw franchise. I could, if you asked me right now, I couldn't tell you his name.
Dermot Mulroney.
Right. Not to be confused with Dylan McDermott. Which was mostly popularized, or I guess peak popularized, when they both appeared on a Saturday Night Live sketch. And the sketch was a game show, and the game show was called Dylan McDermott or Dermot Mulroney. And you either were shown a picture or a question, and nobody could tell the difference. And then I believe both of them appeared on the stuff. It was fantastic. Is this the guy that was on Grey's Anatomy? Not this guy, but Dermot Mulroney.
I have no clue.
Well, I shouldn't be asking you. You don't know anything. So, again, why are you even answering the phone? You decline Gale Weathers, but you answer. I mean, I know that it was looked like another person that you knew, but
yeah, the Richie Jack Quaid from the last film, who she butchered to pieces.
Right. Okay. So if you know that this person is dead,
you know it's the killer calling you.
Right. Why answer it? Love that. In a way, I really like that too. Like,
I like that these ghost faces are a little more rapid fire.
They really are.
They don't go for like the big screens. They just go super
like quick.
Yeah, fast jabs.
It's not a knockout blow. It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah,
literally. That's illegal, sir. To lock your back door. What if there was a fire? Great. More Coors in the case there. We're really showing the Coors.
They must have put some money up.
They had to have. Look at this. Oh boy, cute guy, quote unquote, had it, and now it's literally the only beer this convenience store sells. It's literally in every case. That's unbelievable. I mean, there's the Soul beer, S-O-L, but...
No one knows what that is.
No. It would be terrifying to be stuck in a store with a killer. Look at all that Coors. I don't even know Coors Edge. I'm not even familiar with that.
So pushing a new brand.
But I mean, that entire back row is all Coors. Like, every beer in this thing is a Coors. Good tension.
Yeah. This is a whole good scene. I like that.
I like that there's no music, too. That helps.
Very, very minimal here and there. But I like that they're having the killer adapt with the environment that they're in. They're not just sticking to the same old slash type of thing. It's like they take advantage of what they have in front of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Which is kind of the whole point of Jason Takes Manhattan. Granted, it was remarkable circumstances that led him to Manhattan.
Right.
But once he was there, he used his surroundings.
Yeah.
Now, you ran the DNA?
That quickly. Seemed like easier to run fingerprints off of it than anything else.
Unrelated. I kind of said the same thing when I was watching this. I was like, well, maybe they can get away with saying that he wanted it because... But I don't know if they would let him have it.
There would be a conflict of interest.
Agreed.
To a degree.
And I don't think that you can just circumvent that.
No. I mean, it makes sense as we go on later in the film, but there's a little... The more we get towards that, the more I have problems where things go in the entire film and how they get there.
And that was was the first time that I was like, well, it's Quinn, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
If he has to vouch for her, then she's involved.
Yeah.
Like, is that just the cynic in me?
The more innocent you try to make them look, the more guilty they seem. The more you try to convince me that they are innocent, the less likely I am to believe you.
She was in the last one, right?
She was in 4.
4, right.
I meant to kind of check the commentary in 4 because apparently Wes himself said he believed that Kirby did survive her stab because we never actually see her particularly die. She gets stabbed by your Culkin favorite.
Yep, good old Rory.
And then she just falls on the floor, but we never actually see her pass. So Craven was apparently of the belief that she did survive the events of the film. And they wanted to try to bring her back sooner, like the last film, but they didn't really find a place for her. And also, she kind of disappeared off the map.
Like the actress?
Yeah, Hayden Panettiere. I think there was some like personal tragedy to happen with a family member or something else like that, and she kind of slipped away off of acting, but they eventually kind of tracked her down through different channels and whatnot, and she was very enthusiastic about coming back to it, but she was a little uncertain exactly if she could slip back into the entire rhythm of everything, but I think she's great in this whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with her.
Mm-mm. And there was an Easter egg in the previous ones, like you could barely see it, but a lot of the fans picked up on it, that when Richie is in the hotel room or whatnot, watching the YouTube stuff, there's a little thumbnail with her as a survivor getting an interview. So they threw in just a little bit of something for people to pick up on.
How is this bitch still alive?
Yeah. I kept debating one way or another if you really needed her in the film at all. I know they kind of fit her into it with certain things, but I still think you could get away well enough with not having her in the film at all, really.
There's your commentary there on True Crime Limited Series.
Right.
I really cannot stand her. Well, not her. The older sister.
Hmm.
I find it commendable that what's her name said, I'm just not going to... Nev said, I'm not going to be in this anymore.
Well, it was a pay dispute. She hadn't earned a lot of money off of the back end of the previous films of the franchise, that she really is the reason why a lot of this franchise is what it is.
I would agree.
After she's on the same level of Craven and Williamson making this franchise what it is. She's the strength of it, because we saw in Scream 3 when they kind of diminished her role, it didn't work as well. And so it was a whole pay dispute.
Well, also that was a terrible written movie.
Right. But it really just... it exemplified what she brings to the table when you have less of her in the entire story, when she's supposed to be behind the story. But it was mainly a pay dispute, and apparently a ton of people who worked on the previous films, like Lillard and I think it was Emma Roberts and a bunch of people, they all just put their support right behind her, saying yes, she does deserve that sort of support, she does deserve that recognition, she deserves to be paid exactly what she's worth. But it was studio and her representation, they couldn't come to agreement on the payment, and they had to... apparently they
Ow! That would hurt a lot.
Yeah. But apparently they did heavy rewrites on the film to remove Sydney from the entire story here. So, as the story is here, I can't see where she would fit in. You would have to have a gross altering of the story for her to have a point here. So it's not like she had a role and they just wrote her out and then they kept everything the same. They apparently just rewrote things heavily to remove Sidney Prescott entirely.
By the way, can we talk about there again, him having the personal files at his home?
Yeah.
We had this debate during Halloween H2O, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where they go to, I believe, Loomis's house, right?
Yeah.
And he's got files on everybody.
Well, Marion Chambers' house, where she was
that's right.
being like a hospice for Loomis in his last days and kept all his stuff there. It's like, usually you'd have an office separate from your residence. The only thing is it's like a Dan Seaver situation.
Right, yeah.
Where he's just got an office in the house and sees everyone there.
So it's not quite the midpoint here.
Mm-mm.
But that's correct. And the fact that this is all accurate furthers my hatred for it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's a vicious cycle. she's literally saying all the reasons why I don't like it.
I mean, I could definitely see the fact that it's such a crux of the franchise has been meta from the beginning that you have to keep commenting on the certain things, so you have to have someone kind of lay out what exactly the motives are behind what's happening this time around.
Right. That's also correct. Fucking hate this.
Yeah. But it's also the fact that, a lot of this, it makes sense for what she's talking about in terms of like this franchise mentality at this point in time, but it doesn't really kind of have anything to do with what happens in this film. Because she's talking about like all recurring characters are expendable, despite none of the recurring characters die in this film.
Which is fucking bullshit.
Which is another problem I have with it. They pull too many punches. And the motives behind the killers has nothing to do with furthering a franchise IP or being involved with the toxic fandom that was the thing in the last film. It has nothing really to do about the fandom. It has to do about revenge. It's all a revenge scheme.
Right.
So it's ideas that are sound in terms of the commentary you're having about stuff, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the story that they're telling. So there's elements that don't link up overall. Because it's fine when you're talking about Scream 2, okay, rules of a sequel, it seems completely obvious to talk about that, and it follows through on that.
Sure, sure.
The Scream 3 thing with the trilogy thing, we commented on it, it didn't really... It really didn't ring that true. The Scream 4 one, where they're talking about the sloth of the slew of remakes as the main thing, and someone's trying to remake but also one up the original, and that worked with how they were telling and formatting that story.
Sure.
And then 5, we already talked about the requel thing. That's exactly what they were trying to do, and it was way too on the nose. This one's like it's.
So is it,
the commentary is disconnected from the plot? Is what I'm talking about.
It is interesting that the two new characters that they like said, oh, we gotta suspect these two, end up being the two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
aside from the girlfriend, yeah. Nice reaction.
Yeah. Again, why were the notes at his house?
Or at least have them locked up in a vault or something, a safe or something. Not just out so someone can walk in and just slip through your shit.
I don't understand. Even after watching the movie, I really don't understand the logistics behind acquiring this police evidence.
It's part. I mean, there's a lot more to say about later on, the fact that the reveals and the motives and stuff like that. But this one feels like the most convoluted and most contrived killer plots
there
of
he
the
is.
franchise.
There's my boy Rory, with his beautiful hair, his beautiful face. I love all the Culkins.
That looks like a recent Laurie Metcalf headshot. That doesn't look like 1997.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of them, I like the fact that some of them don't look like they're just production photos. They probably grabbed something a little bit offbeat from that, not like something you've seen on the IMDb page or something like that.
Right.
Feel a little bit more natural shots they grabbed from somewhere.
I gotta say, Skeet Ulrich was at a convention that I was at a few months ago.
Sure.
And his line was astronomical.
Jeez.
Like all day long, like 30 people deep.
Jeez.
To meet Skeet Ulrich. And I realize he's had a, kind of a recurring role in these new ones.
Yeah.
As the, kind of
hallucinatory,
ghosty figure.
psychotic break.
But I was shocked.
He's not Bob Englund.
Right.
That's the Bob Englund line.
Well, Englund is, he gets his own room.
Yeah.
Usually.
His own corner of the entire place.
Right.
Man. I mean,
But, like, Skeet was just always busy all day long.
Jeez.
And I was just kind of confused. I was like, I don't know, is it... I mean, I guess if you're going to complete your Scream 1...
Sure.
Autograph
I would
list...
expect that for Nev, 100%.
Sure. Who I did meet
Not
several
to
years
downgrade
ago.
Skeet, but he's a steady working actor. I just don't really think of him in that kind of context.
I have been at conventions where Matthew Lillard was at, and his line was also not as egregious as the Skeet line. And I was like, what is happening?
I'd want to meet Lillard more. He's more entertaining.
100%.
He's more fun to spend time with.
Lillard is wonderful.
Also, I've seen him in a couple other things. I really thought he was great. And plus, he's Shaggy.
Like Shaggy,
Don't you want to meet Shaggy?
Everyone wants to meet Shaggy. God, it had to have been, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago now, when I got the chance to meet Neve Campbell at a convention. And my nephew was a big fan of Scream, and he was only, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range. And he was afraid to go, like, he didn't want to go up and talk to her, not because he was afraid, but he was just shy.
Intimidated.
Shy, right.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's Sydney, go talk to her. And we just wanted him to go up and say hi.
Yeah.
And so I think his mom, not his mom, his stepmom, went over and was like, just kind of said something to her. And Neve Campbell walked over to us. I was standing with the kid.
Okay.
And Neve Campbell approached us to say hi.
Uh-huh.
And so I had a brief interaction with Neve Campbell, and it was like, holy shit. Like, she's a 10.
Oh, yeah.
And she just oozes star power.
I'd put her on the same level as Heather Langenkamp, just in terms of that quality of just someone I want to meet, and I'm a little intimidated to meet them.
Yeah, I met Heather at least once. I feel like I've talked to her multiple times. Amanda Wiss is another one who will always make time for you.
Okay.
And is just great. Not that we should be going down this road. We're watching.
Sure, yeah.
But
Wes, tangential franchise talk.
That's right. I mean, it started with Neve Campbell, so.
Mm-hmm.
The core four.
Just cheesy enough.
I love it,
to
actually.
be endearing. Yeah. There we go.
Great face. I buy that those two are brother and sister.
Oh, yeah. They got the chemistry perfect.
Again, why, if these are based on actual murders, why are we selling the merchandise?
Yeah, it's still... Yeah.
I'm confused.
It's weird.
I like this bit, too.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been a fan of the viewer, the voyeur.
The rear window
Right.
That was the interesting thing when they were auditioning the new actors for the film. They all gave them a ghost face sort of monologue to give off, and apparently, despite the fact that I don't think they exactly pinned down exactly who was going to be at the end of the film when they were starting the casting, but the fact is, apparently he gave one of the best monologues, despite the fact they knew he wasn't going to be the killer. But I was like, God damn.
The cute guy across the hall?
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah. I could see it, too.
So, they made everyone audition as the killer, basically?
Yeah, just a...
To see if they...
Just a blanket type of thing, to see if they ended up changing their minds at some point and they want to make sure that they had someone who could deliver what they wanted.
I really like that idea.
Yeah.
If you're going to make kind of a whodunit,
Yeah.
audition everyone
Yeah.
under the veil of secrecy.
Right, right.
So that your story doesn't get
Yeah.
out. And this is, if you, now that you're looking back on it,
Mm-hmm.
like, who's the one here that isn't there? Well, it's the other boy.
Yeah, it's Chad's roommate.
Literally the only person that we've met that isn't in this room.
Right.
Which,
because at least on a good storytelling level, you're not going to just introduce some random character out of nowhere in the last act or something else like that.
unless it's like a red herring that we've set up.
Something slightly in the background, but that's not happened.
Ow. The twisting is what got me.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Ooh,
Now he's gutting her like a fish. Now, you just hit him in the face.
Yeah.
Tomorrow he's going to have a big bruise on his face.
He should. That mask ain't that much protection.
Right. And there ain't no way, I don't know if this Annika girl dies, but she better.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, good. She better. See how bad my memory is? I literally just watched this like less than 2 months ago.
Well, I've now this
You
is
watched it.
This is my third time. I saw it in the theater. I watched it again with the marathon, and now here. So, and I watched all the bonus features too,
Sure.
aside from the commentary on it.
Maybe it just wasn't that memorable, you know? Like it doesn't stand out to me. Love can build a bridge, the judge said. How does he just have a ladder? Like, it's so funny when she says, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I thought that the line was going to be, "Are you fucking kidding me? Why do you have a ladder?" That would be terrifying. I am afraid of heights.
Apparently, they did. They did the stunt work on location, but then they built a replica of the alleyway on a set with much more of a shallow depth to it for the actual actors to do the scenes. So probably anything we're seeing from like that overhead angle and whatnot is actually the stunt performers.
Okay.
Despite the fact a lot of the actors were kind of a little too eager to actually do the real deal. It was like, no.
Right, those are all the stunts, and then this is probably only 2 feet off the ground.
And close to it.
Maybe 4,
I think
but
it was,
yeah.
It was pretty shallow, yeah.
God, I love filmmaking for that reason right there.
When I saw this in trailer, I was like, oh, you're taking inspiration from Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez.
There you go.
They do the exact same thing. It's across the roof of 2 different buildings, and they're just crossing it, and the thing goes all rickety and shit. It's like, okay, yeah, I respect that. It's all good sequence too, man.
I agree.
I mean,
there's definitely a tension. There's
momentum. There's threat. If it's a less effective sequence, you can almost see way too much through it. That's like, okay, it seems obvious she's going to die, but they get these last few hope moments. She almost gets there.
The problem is they made such a dramatic stabbing
Yeah.
that you know that she probably can't live through it anyway.
Right.
Like, there's no way she'd even be able to be in that crawling position.
Yeah.
She'd be in too much pain. She'd also been losing blood this whole time.
Right.
Like a single stab would have been perfect.
Yeah. And then the twist is what gets you.
And then he went up.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah.
that's too much.
Oh.
I mean, that looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But isn't it obvious that it's that other kid?
When you start thinking about it, it's like, okay, who else is really a suspect at this point in time? Yeah.
Because, like I said, every single person that we've been introduced to as a character was in that scene.
Yeah, because when you think about it, a couple other films, like they were strategic and smart enough where it's like there's at least a few characters who kind of slip out from this point in time.
Right.
Someone goes off looking for someone else, and the ghost face comes around this way. It's like it keeps enough things kind of jumping around to keep enough suspicion going.
But one of us wasn't there.
No.
No. Oh, the Clue commentary available in the archives right now. Go click it.
All-time favorite.
There he is.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that he said he was in econ and then he said he was in a study hall?
Yeah. She's smart. She's caught on.
Well, she said it from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the protocols are, but I would think that
He's no longer on the case, period.
he's not on any case.
No,
he's on
leave.
administrative leave.
Yeah.
What did both of his kids? Did he say
Yeah, because
at some point?
Gwen said her brother died in a car wreck.
Oh, okay, in a car wreck. Okay, got it. Even though it wasn't a car wreck, it was Ghostface.
Yeah. It was Jack Quaid in the last film.
Richie or whatever the fuck.
Richie Kirsch. Right, I have holes to throw in this thing when we get to the third act.
Right. I would not be sorry. Look at that monkey face.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
It has
She's hideous.
When you go back to Scream 4, it looks a lot better in retrospect when you watch the newer ones than the facelift botched job.
I mean, let's just go back to 1999, NBC, Thursday night,
Yeah.
and she's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand what the appeal is and keep bringing her back.
The thing was, I don't feel like she has much of a thing because you don't have Dewey around anymore. Dewey was what gave her a certain emotional context, a certain... Dewey was the character that opened that character up to something other than this cutthroat reporter, whereas also the problem is like, okay, even at the end of the last one, it's like, okay, I'm not going to give these fuckers the time of day they can die in anonymity. I'm going to write an article or a book or whatnot about the good guy of Woodsboro who wanted to help people. But then they come to this film, it's like, oh, I just wrote another book about the killings all over again. I fuck Dewey this time around. It feels like they just keep reverting her character back to zero every single time. They don't allow her to progress anywhere. She's the exact same character almost every single film. She doesn't... There's no development for her. They keep going around the same freaking loop every single time with her.
This looks like a good midpoint. Is this a midpoint? 105. So yes.
Yeah.
Well, 105 since we started recording. Maybe not 105 since we pushed play. But, all right, right here, I'm calling bullshit on the whole movie. There's absolutely no reason that anybody would own any of this and store it in glass cases in a movie theater. In New York City, where rent is astronomical, absolutely none of this scene makes sense, and it ruins the whole movie for me.
It's the fact... I get the intention behind it and what they explain later on, but it comes to this whole way too contrived type of thing that someone was able to track down every piece of freaking... Evidence, minutia of memorabilia that happened with these crimes and the people involved with the crimes.
And every mask.
Right. Like someone's hunted down Stu's robe from the first film where he wasn't wearing that when he was killed, so why would that be in evidence somewhere? That'd be in a thrift store someplace.
Or in the trash.
Yeah. And the fact that a lot of this evidence would have been in Woodsboro. You think anyone in Woodsboro would ever let this stuff out of their sight?
Right. Exactly. I mean, regardless of the amount of money.
Especially from... I mean, I don't know. Just the fact that at least around Scream 4 times, Dewey's the sheriff. No one would pull this stuff out of underneath him. Then it goes off to Judy, who was Deputy Judy, then she was Sheriff Judy. I think that fall out underneath her side just it was a little too contrived. Then you got...
It's a bloody knife.
Why is it still juicy? It'd be crusted over and dried out.
It was 20 years ago. More. There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Did we, I think we discussed maybe at the very first movie, is the Loomis name an homage?
Well, I think it's a homage back to Psycho and Dr. Loomis.
Right.
Because there's a character, Sam Loomis, in original Psycho, I believe, then Dr. Sam Loomis is a homage to that. There's almost like a triple
back.
Generational thing.
Chucklefuck is a great name. The fact that a third of this stuff even made it here is questionable.
Right.
But 100% of this stuff makes it so unbelievable that I want to turn the movie off right now. Like, I don't even care anymore.
Okay.
Ooh. Part 2 is a weird take. It's not a bad take, but it's a little hot. But Jason Lives is the correct answer, ma'am.
Usually, yes.
Final chapter is respectable as a choice, but
we posted our rankings in the comments on the Friday 13th 09 commentary.
That's right.
So go back to that. And
yeah,
check
if you want to see what order we put them in. I'm surprised we didn't do that during the Freddy versus Jason for the Nightmare films.
I think we probably did around Freddy's Dead or New Nightmare.
New Nightmare, yeah.
I think it was New Nightmare.
Did you see they made a sequel to New Nightmare? It was like a fan film
thing.
But they got, Miko Hughes to be in it.
Sure.
And the guy that they got to play Freddy is 10 times better than Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah, well, I heard a story recently that Haley hadn't even watched any of the Elm Street films. Then once he saw the first one, he thought it was a terrible movie.
Well, all right.
Which
get out of here.
Shows you how much anyone really gave a shit on that film. Nobody cared.
I have a feeling that it's going to come back, though. I just have a hunch.
The franchise.
They're going to reboot Elm Street.
Someone's going to give a shit. Someone's going to take a stab in the dark, and I don't know. I don't know. There was a name or two rumored a few years ago that I thought was worth half a damn.
I'm okay with the idea under the umbrella that nobody will ever be Robert Englund.
Yeah, that's the crux. You're gonna have to find someone who can do the role.
It's not like this, or Michael Myers or
it's mostly
Jason.
Stunt people,
right?
Doing
You
the role.
literally can have anybody under the mask. Freddy was a character.
Yeah.
On his own.
Right.
With a face and a personality and a voice. And
I like Kirby's story, good fact that after she got stabbed and everything, she didn't want to let anything else happen to other people that happened to her, so she got mad. She decided to pursue this line of work and everything.
Yeah,
it's a nice, solid motivation, but also it's maybe a little late in the film to start throwing shade on her is the unfortunate thing. Because we're so happy to see her back, and it's kind of a hero moment or whatnot, but then they started closer to the climax, or started throwing a little shade on her here and there, so I don't know. As we've already commented, that it starts seeming too obvious about who it is. Then you try to maybe color someone else as maybe being it, but I don't know.
Why would Mindy be sitting next to the kid if she's
suspect number one?
Right. I feel like she would
not be anywhere near.
Her character would be like, "Bitch, I'm sitting on the other side of the van."
Sure. Yeah. And there's that. It's like, yeah, he would not be out here in any reality.
No, he'd be, at the police therapist,
right. Yeah.
Or,
psychologist. Yeah,
right. Renee Russo, right? Wasn't she in Lethal Weapon 3?
Lethal 3.
Yeah, she wasn't. She
was in Internal Affairs.
Oh, she was in Internal Affairs, right?
I forget the actress's name from the Lethal Weapon ones. She passed away a couple years back.
Oh, that black lady?
No, she was the one with the big hair, the blonde or whatnot.
Oh, yes.
Like a regular in Joel Silver films or something. Let's see if I can find. Know the name when I see it, if I see it. Mary Ellen Trainor. That's who she was.
Oh, there you go. So the whole point of this is to make Gail a suspect?
And just the fact that she's the next target?
Well, they were trying... The call was from the killer, and they traced it to Gail's...
Well, the fact that... Well, they're saying, like, they trace it there, and the killer's saying that, more or less, that they're completely off track, and just that they think the killer's going after Gail instead of falling for the trap they've set out here.
I just did. They don't even give this character a name. It just it said just Gail's partner is what it said.
He's not a character. He's a prop. There's not even a point to even have the character except to have a body in the scene.
I guess that's true. She never has.
Yeah, she never had a direct conversation on the phone with the killers in the franchise before.
All of whom have had the same voice.
Yeah.
With the same voice changer.
Yeah. Aside from 3 when they overcooked the entire
Well,
idea.
sure. Which was at least somewhat of a creative way to get around that.
I've heard that recently there's like this work print of Scream 3 that's leaked online, but I haven't found a link for it or anything. People say it's potentially a rough cut, but it has extra scenes in it that kind of make the film a little better, but I don't know.
I don't know how you could make that movie better.
There are a few subplots and certain things that they cut out of there that got changed around, but... I think we're talking over other things. I think it was when Mindy and Kirby were sitting there on the stage where they're looking over the TV that got dumped on Stu.
Okay.
And they're talking about, there's a theory. Oh, if you believe believe that Stu actually is dead, as if they're trying to lay in a thing like Lillard's going to show up in the 3rd act and he's the mastermind and he's been living in some kind of weird sort of secrecy for like the last 25 years or some shit. It's like, well, please don't do that.
That might open the door for the next movie.
Maybe. I don't know. More the fact you've got to set it up better than that. Than halfway through the film.
Halfway through the 6th film.
Yeah. Like if he survived, someone would fucking know about it.
So I have a question.
He would have been taken to a hospital. He would have been looked over. He would have been arrested. It wouldn't be a theory that he's living in seclusion somewhere.
Now, is Dylan McDermott also a ghost face in this? Or is it just the kids?
Well, the fact that we just left him in the freaking park on the other side of town.
Okay, but we also left the boy in the van.
Boy in the van, so this is Quinn.
Right, but here's the problem. She was on the phone with one of them, and the one that grabbed the partner was not on the phone. Right. So there were 2.
Right.
So,
which gets a little dicey in some of these films.
Like, who was she talking to?
Everything's very well choreographed. The guy talking on the phone, and then when he says like a cue line, then the ghost face jumps out at a certain point in time. It's almost too much like he just dropped the phone like it was in the other room, but it can't be.
Yeah, but she was talking to the killer, and in the background, Ghostface grabbed the boyfriend.
Right. So it can't be the same person talking. Right. So it has to be
one of the other 2.
It's got to be Detective Bailey on the phone in the park.
Right.
Because the other one's sitting in the fucking van with everyone else. You couldn't pull it off.
But the phone call happened before he was alone.
Right.
It happened.
We're a little... Like I said, this film's got a little too thick of the contrivances.
Yeah, because the boyfriend answered the phone before they stole the cop car.
Right.
Or at the same time.
Right, because they track the cell phone for one...
All right, go ahead. You're very perturbed. I'm sorry, did I ruin this movie for you?
Well, because the call that Sam and Tara get when they're in the freaking park... They trace that call back to the apartment.
Which is where that killer was.
Where were you?
Quinn was
this scene is in now.
Correct.
But then...
So which means Quinn was on the phone.
Quinn would have to be on the phone because she has to be in the killer in this scene because the other 2 killers are over in the park.
Correct.
Of being observed.
Right.
But then as soon as they trace the call back to here, then we cut over to Gail and we get the phone call.
Her phone call, which is a different person.
Has to be a different person. Because they can't be both on the phone and grabbing the boyfriend in the back of the scene at the same time.
That's correct.
We're a little too... they haven't thought these things through quite as well as they think they have. Which we're going to get thicker on as we get closer to the end. It's like that... Like, these sequences, they're all great. They're greatly staged. They're greatly paced out.
I don't buy that that's Quinn, though.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, that's a man.
Yeah, that's always kind of the thing, because it's hard to actually put a woman stunt person there and kind of make it not look like a woman, but still keep that thing
Right, but 33% of all the ghost faces have been female.
Yeah.
It really would have been better if he just stabbed her.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about there. You're pulling punches. You want to have the commentary, but you don't want to follow through on what the commentary says about things.
Right. Who's expendable? According to you, everybody. Not you, Nick, but you, the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Just... Also, the fact Courteney Cox is executive producer on this film, too.
Well, so it's in her contract.
That probably means piss all of anything, really.
Right, it's just an extra paycheck.
Yeah.
In the movie world, executive producer is like a thank you.
Yeah.
You know, it's completely titular.
Mm-hmm.
Got a weak pulse, get the backboard.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And they keep doing this through the rest of the damn movie.
Core 4.
Mm-hmm. We've almost completely forgot about him.
Which is kind of a good thing. Like, it hasn't been that long since we've seen him.
No, it's only about 20 or so minutes.
And I feel like that is just about the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
For us to go, oh yeah, what if it was him? But clearly we know there's two. So at this point it would have to be the white boy and him.
Right.
In
Right.
But when we get to the end, we realize, oh wait, no, you screwed up.
Yeah.
In telling me this story.
Yeah. Don't want to jump the gun on anything.
What's the runtime on this one? About 2 hours?
Just a tad over 2 hours.
Probably before credits, it's right at 2.
Yeah.
The younger one is much better than the older one. Why is the roommate even there?
Yeah, and it's also...
Like, maybe it's just me, but if I was his roommate and all of this was happening to them, I'd be like, you know what?
Check out, pal.
Good luck, my friend. I'll see you down the road.
Also, the fact they haven't even done like a swerve with him or anything, like have him be cut by Ghostface just to kind of throw the scent off him or something else like that. He hasn't even been involved with the Ghostface scene. These are points in other films where they kind of like, even if the person didn't turn out to be the killer, it was at least there as sort of like...
Plausible?
Is it a swerve? Or is the killer trying to kind of pin something on them to make them seem shady in a certain way? Like they did with O'Connell in the second film. It's like, okay, he charges in the scene, he gets cut, but it's like, why didn't Ghostface kill you? And then you got Oliphant, he's kind of like, why didn't you get hit? Well, why didn't you? They'll throw in suspicion back and forth a little bit here. That helps with the paranoia of the story. That kind of get you jumping back and forth. Just a little thing like that. If he's in the scene and is like, well, that seems a little suspicious. Why did he let you go? Or something else like that. Just little things like the fact that the roommate character has not been involved with anything.
Right.
Makes it too obvious.
And I started to suspect him almost immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't even want to stand by him on the train platform, but she sat next to him in the van?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to have them put it into New York, but there's still, I don't know, just a certain thing like, this could easily be like Chicago. It doesn't feel like it's specifically taking advantage of New York itself.
Right.
This could be the L train, and then that could have been Grant Park that they were in, or something else like that.
They've literally shown every Paramount Legacy character as a Halloween costume. Pinhead, Freddy, and Michael Myers
are the only outliers.
Those were the three they just showed.
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting. And why are there so many ghost faces? How is this still a costume?
Apparently since they're shooting up in Montreal, apparently the Montreal subways didn't look anything like the New York ones. They actually built their own subway car.
Yeah, that happens a lot. There's a Jason down there.
Yeah. And you got a red balloon for like...
Oh, Pennywise?
Yeah. Not anyone's dressed up like them, but behind the scenes you just see someone...
And those two are the Grady twins from The Shining.
Okay.
See here on the left?
Okay.
The blue dresses?
Okay.
Yes, with Ethan, a.k.a. Ghostface.
I was looking at the orange robes. I didn't know what the hell that was.
Is it on this train or the other one?
We're down there out of focus.
It might have been Sam from Trick or Treat.
And they have the baghead thing going. No, I don't know. Just random stuff. Yeah, there's one.
Jason. Oh, it's a horse pinker!
Someone said there was a pinker in here. I didn't notice that.
That was it! The orange jumpsuit! Oh, it's Georgie. He's got the yellow raincoat on.
Okay. There you go.
It's on the other train, though. On Mindy's train, I think. Has the Horace Pinker. Oh, no, there it is. Look to the right.
Okay.
See the checkerboard?
Yeah. Nice.
Across the middle? Another homage to Wes Craven. I also refuse to believe that every single person is in a costume. I guess maybe not everyone.
Just a lot of them. It would have been nice if they pinned it down that this was Halloween night, because we've had several days go by, and every single day someone's in a costume.
Well, no, when the doctor got killed, he said, you're a day early.
Okay.
So it was the next day after that, which I think is this day.
Okay.
So I think this is actually Halloween.
Okay.
Which would make it probably, in my guess, a Sunday or a Monday, because the frat parties, everyone was in costume, which would have been 2 days earlier, but Friday or Saturday would have been the appropriate night for that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's Sunday or Monday currently. This is a nice use of the lights on and off.
Uh-huh.
Ow.
Yeah,
the
orange robe thing there. I figure what that was.
So this has to be Quinn.
Yes.
Because
the other one's just sitting back there, maintaining his illusion.
Sure.
As much as it matters not. But at least they're not saying, like, I'll grab the frickin' outfit out of the frickin' bag and swapped into it.
There was a Billy Saw puppet costume. That's Midsummer, I think, is all the flowers. These guys dressed as New York cops. Why wouldn't you just wait for those two?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, if it's literally 5 or 10 minutes, I would say, let's wait and go together.
Yeah.
You're not Woodsboro.
He has a really good character.
He's
not falling into stupid tropes or anything like that, trying to be combative or anything like that, or...
He's one of the most believable, actually, of all of them. I think Mindy is also a very believable character. You know, every friend group has that one, like, outspoken, very determined friend. Again, I cannot get over this lair, this shrine. Yeah. It's the dumbest thing in this entire frame. Like, this makes part 3 look good. Like, you've already locked those two out of this room. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I mean, if it was just the masks and the cloaks, I think that would have sufficed. But the fact you've got...
And also, I would have liked it in, like, a storage locker.
The original idea was a warehouse, but they thought thematically it worked better if it was in a theater.
Well, thematically, that's stupid, because it's way too stupid.
You're just saying it's too on the nose.
Right. Like, there is... It's literally impossible that there's an abandoned movie theater in Manhattan that nobody's paying rent on, that these people are squatting in with their stolen evidence.
Well, I mean, we do get revealed that it is being more contrived as bullshit, but the fact is they did buy the thing, but they put it under the names of the guys that they killed at the beginning of the movie.
Oh. As... Right, a diversion.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my problems getting up this whole thing is really with his character, how he fits into the plot, because it's way too just
convenient.
It's not even just convenient. It's just way beyond believability how things go down.
I don't buy that the two film students would have enough money to buy this place or rent it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
as the diversion,
right?
As the cover,
like it.
Yeah.
This movie would have been so much better if to your point,
tuition and boarding is already expensive enough.
The masks and the robes only, no knives, no other props.
I mean, they do try and say like, oh, they're a couple rich kids from Atlanta, but still,
right? They need to
still
be
pushing it. Then the fact that a freaking cop,
a storage
has the
locker,
fucking money for this,
right,
is less convincing to me.
A storage locker would have been perfect. Like,
right.
Anybody can rent a storage locker.
All right. $1 for the first month.
Usually, yeah. There we go. We finally got our kiss. I like these two as a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And how would this person have gotten in?
Unless
they were
owned
there
the
already.
place and they got the keys.
And they were there already.
Yeah.
So I guess that one would be the boy, Ethan.
Potentially.
I guess Quinn did get off the train.
Would have gotten there a little bit ahead of time, yeah.
But when the people took Mindy away, Ethan would have probably just come
Slipped
here.
Off,
right.
Yeah.
So it could have been either one of them.
Yeah. And the fact that, okay, you're able to get the fucking video camera from the camera guy from the first film. Really? That's not even a piece of evidence.
Some of this is literal trash.
Right.
Not the popcorn. The masks never come off.
No.
When you, like, kick them or hit them.
No.
Or... Do we ever look at the shoes?
They showed the shoes once or twice, and they're just, like, kind of black.
Generic black?
Yeah.
Even that is overdone. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all of it. Don't look at each other. What does that mean?
The fact that Bailey called up saying, "Oh, she hasn't worked and she got discharged." And
I know,
bullshit.
but we know it's. How could we know it's you if there's two of them standing in the room?
Right.
We know it's you. What?
Yeah.
You masterminded it. I don't mind the idea of the cop being involved.
Yeah, just... And the fact is, in the last scene, they were both the same height. Now one's like half a foot taller than the other one.
Yeah. This is the biggest scene he's had in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Not Mindy.
And this exclamation puts me over the edge.
That is true. I like,
Yeah. It just... This.
What?
He was able to switch out the fucking body at the freaking scene and still... No.
No. No.
No. Also, I want to know who's faking their last names in this whole film?
Great question.
Because he's Detective Bailey, but then there's Richie Kirsch, and when you show his films up on the screen, it says it's written directed by Richie Kirsch. So is he using a stage name for his old films?
Probably.
Or is the cop using a false last name, and how's he doing that as a cop?
You can't as a cop, so Bailey has to be it. So that means that Ethan's name is Ethan Bailey?
Yeah, or if Ethan's even his first name, I guess. I'm also not a fan of Mulroney's freaking acting in the scene. I think she's still good, but Mulroney, he feels like Laurie Metcalf in the second film. He's playing it too over the top. I want a scary performance. I don't want a goofy, overexpressive, over the top performance. He's playing it too comedy. And again, it's the exact same plot from Scream 2.
Pretty much.
Get revenge on the person that killed your son from the previous movie.
And how appropriate that the sequel to the requel matches the sequel to the original.
Yeah.
We should have seen that coming.
Yeah. Because they didn't spit this one 51 weeks later, but it was about 14 months later. It just, again, the switching the body out of the scene is like, you can't get away with that.
Right.
Well, you pulled some body out of the morgue and dumped it at the scene and make everyone in the department make you think it's your daughter. I think they're going to figure that out pretty fast. It's not. Like, they're going to take the fingerprints, find out, oh, well, that's not your daughter. That's someone we already had in the morgue. It's just way too over.
Like, how does a cop
over-contrived.
How does a cop A, pull that off, or B, survive the lie?
Right.
You can't cover it up.
And the fact that he collected all this stuff for his son. It's like, where'd he get the money for all this shit? Ain't no cop make enough money to be able to collect all this stuff, pay everyone God knows how much money to bribe a bunch of departments across the freaking country. To collect all this evidence, plus all this memorabilia from crimes and people who got killed. It's just, that's the tipping point for me. The logistics of actually making it possible was like it's too far to push.
I don't buy that anybody in the world could pull off this lair.
No.
Let alone the person that they've given me as the explanation.
Yeah.
Especially the person they've given me as the explanation.
Yes. The fact that you're able to contact someone at the Woodsboro Police Department.
Right.
Who have seen these crimes 3 times in the last, 25 years and convince them to hand over all this shit that's plagued that town like a fucking curse. I don't believe it for a second.
No, absolutely not. And you're
Especially
right.
when most of the time it's either two extremely reputable people like Dewey or Judy who are at the head of the freaking department.
And is...
Where both of them have been victims of the crime. No.
Right, agreed. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah, Quinn's good. She's the best part of this trio.
I mean,
The brother's the best he's been the whole fucking movie. 'Cause
Agreed.
He's actually a character now.
Right, he's
instead of a limp tick fucking nothing.
Right. He's got personality.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, at this point, I'm kind of just over it.
I was starting to feel like, okay, if they're going to do a seventh one, they got to do something really super fresh, because it is starting to feel a little on the stale side.
And as far as I know, they are. And as far as I know, Nev Campbell's coming back.
I don't know. Well, we don't know yet, because
I thought I heard that.
Well, because we have the SAG strike and everything right now. No one can make any deals to sign on to anything.
Sure.
The only thing they've announced is the fact that Christopher Landon, who did Happy Death Day and a couple other things, he's the one directing the new one.
Oh, okay.
We don't know about screenwriters yet because, again, the writer's strike is going on. You can't sign any deals right now.
I thought that I had read before that Nev Campbell was, linked to it.
I'm sure she's willing to come back as long as they pay her an appropriate amount for the respect that she deserves for the franchise and for as much as they want. As long as she's not coming in for, a fucking 30-second cameo.
Right, right.
If she's going to be a substantial part of the story, pay her what she's worth, because she's worth a lot.
Right. Although they may just bring her in to kill her off in the first scene.
Oof. I was at least happy that they didn't go about and kill her off screen in this film, because fuck, everyone would fucking riot over that.
Agreed.
Because there are certain franchises that will fucking do that. They'll just be callous and say fuck you and just
well, we
write you off.
can't come to an agreement.
That was a negotiation thing between parties that are above the filmmakers. The filmmakers had respect for it. The studio just couldn't come to an agreement.
Well, conveniently,
and it was beyond the control of the writers, directors, the producers.
Ow, that really looks like it hurts. Yeah. Conveniently, there's going to be a new Screen Actors Guild union deal, so
eventually,
that may lead to
better pay,
right. I don't know
better residuals,
how it affects her case personally.
Sure, but yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Now all of your kids are dead.
Yeah.
Oops. There are no more bullets left in that gun. It's 1 + 2 + 2 + 1. Not 1 + 1 + 2 + 1.
Still got the stunt game high on this one. I mean, in general, I don't really have a problem with the direction.
Agreed.
Direction of the actors, direction of the scenes, the action, the suspense is all high grade.
It's just
the
the
screenwriters
story.
have fallen off the train a little bit. They over convoluted the plot and the explanations and the motivations and stuff like that. And the fact that they pull punches too much. They pull it on Gale. They pull it on Chad here eventually. It took a little too much of the bite out of the film.
Mindy? Doesn't Mindy live?
Mindy lives too. Everyone lives. Everyone that you think should be dead right now is not dead. Except for the killers themselves. One of them came back from the dead. It's a little too jumping through hoops and faking people out. I mean, the Quinn thing could have worked if you didn't have that stupid fucking explanation of him switching out bodies and stuff like that. There could have been something. I don't know how you do it. I have no idea how you do it.
Well, how about...
Unless it's slightly before the third act, not like it happened 2 days before.
Okay, what about this? What if he just says, I'm the first one on the scene, I snuck her out the back door?
Something. But still...
How?
I don't know.
Like, that works because there's no paperwork involved.
Something. If you're going with the idea that she's dead, everyone believing that she's dead, there still has to be something there with the cops, unless you set it up as something that happens right before the third act, and you can keep that immediacy of the plot there.
Yeah, but Quinn's boyfriend was dead in the tub, so there actually was a body there.
There was a body there. So, I don't know. We're falling into traps here.
Thank you. I like that line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh!
Ow.
Ow. That's a bad way to go.
Agreed.
Ugh.
Also a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 different last names is very weird.
Yeah. I mean, there could have been easy out with the Kirsch thing. It's like, okay, mother's maiden name or something.
Right.
There was a divorce because they don't mention jack shit about the wife, the mother, or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm still convinced that having the stuff, the robes in like a rental locker or storage unit,
Right.
and then you could have the shootout or this in an abandoned movie theater, that would be fine.
Sure.
But the fact that the theater is the shrine is, oh God,
And also the climax of Scream 2 happens in a theater.
It does happen in a theater, yeah. So the
it seems
requel,
like they're way too conscious of trying to map things back on.
right? So,
Yeah,
what does that say about?
that's nice.
So remind me, it was the director of the Stab movies in Part 3 that ended up being the killer.
Yes.
So let's keep that in mind when we watch the next one. That,
Like I said, I hope they find some way to be fresher about the ideas, if there's any way possible.
I hope this guy's in it.
Yeah, I'm all for him.
I was so fucking hot. I love Mindy. I want Mindy to live.
Okay.
But this movie is Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Every fucking person lived in that movie, and there was no reason for it.
I like all the actors, but if you're going to do this, like, they're going to get stabbed like living crap, and then you're just like, they're fine at the end of the film. It's like, you can't do this. You can't bait and switch in that regard.
There is 0 reasons why Courteney Cox needed to live through this movie.
No reason whatsoever.
She could have died, and I would have rejoiced, so I don't have to look at her face on the next one.
I'm perfectly happy having Kirby come back as that kind of legacy character. Because she's fresher.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
She's a new energy in the entire thing. I think she has a lot more to offer as a character. Because there's still a lot of places you can grow with her, and she's great. again, my problem with Gail is like they've got nowhere to take her. There's nowhere to take her character, because Dewey was the only character that gave her character growth, and now that Dewey's gone, she's just the same old character they keep rebooting her to every single time a new film comes around.
How is Mindy just out of the hospital and running around? It's only the next morning.
I don't know. She should be overnight. Yeah, the screenplay in this thing. I mean, again, it's that whole dichotomy. It's like there's intense action, there's good suspense, there's good horror in the whole thing, there's good gore, stunts are great, performances are really good, just like the fundamentals and the logistics of how the plot functions deteriorates very quickly as it goes along.
And why are they back in Central Park? Seemingly.
I don't know. They already established a great geography of where everything was in this film.
Yeah.
Of where everything lays in Manhattan here. I don't know. Like I said, because they shot everything in Montreal, it's like you don't really get
the feel of Manhattan.
You don't get Manhattan. You don't get the landmark. I mean, it's not like you have to show like every fucking landmark, but just some context. Put them in some place that feel like, okay, this is where this is in the city, or something else like that.
Well, they tried with Central Park.
Yeah, they didn't do a great job.
And
feels like they're just
those two idiots.
Yeah, there's the good ideas. I think they need another 6 months to shake it out, or just start from a different perspective, or disconnect it from trying to be Scream 2 Redux.
Kevin Williamson could write the screenplay. That'd be nice.
I don't know why it's not tapping him to write it. He's a producer on these things.
They gave him an executive producer, which means nothing. It just
he's not really creative.
It's a thank. It's a thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he's interviewing, he's promoting, but he's not really inputting much. Brian Tyler doing the scores on these last two, he's done a really good job, because Marco Beltrami for the first four, and I think Tyler does a really good job picking up from other people in the franchises.
This girl is wonderful. I really like her.
Yeah.
Jack Champion is a great name, by the way. Why is he fourth billing? Is they going alphabetical?
They usually do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've always really done that for the main cast.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize.
Yeah, Brian Tyler, he's the one who picked up the Rambo franchise after Goldsmith, and I think he's done some Star Trek stuff here and there to kind of like honor also Jerry Goldsmith in some places.
Sure.
Yeah, Brian Tyler's a really solid composer. He really does a good job to keep the vibes going on these franchises.
I really like this guy.
Yeah, he's bringing him back. He's a good cog.
Special billing for Hayden. Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
Not working. She's taking some tips from Aniston, man. Aniston looks like gold.
I feel like that was first billing on this cast, though.
Oh no, I don't think so. Not after you just got special billing. Not on that.
Yeah,
she had so little. Gail had so little to do with the plot. You literally could have written her out with very little effort.
Right, but she's the biggest name, so she's got to be first on the.
Yeah.
Like, I bet that was negotiated. Like, special billing during.
The fact she signed on for executive producer again for whatever reason, I found that very odd.
Well, that's another payday.
Just so she could get a pay bump, I guarantee it. Despite the fact she's got half the screen time she had before.
And every time she gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, in the previous one, we had that scene where her and Dewey first meet and come back together. It's a great scene, mainly because Arquette's fantastic.
Well, Arquette is what drives everything.
Arquette and Quaid are the MVPs of the previous film. 100%.
Agreed.
This one, Josh Segarra is kind of an MVP. Quinn, she's an MVP to a degree.
Yeah,
everyone kind of there's a good amount of them just kind of split the load on the MVP thing. There's not one that really carries it directly, but everyone kind of shares a load on this one.
And I think the lead girl,
Melissa Barrera,
contributed the least. Like, I don't know, she was just.
Again, I think everything you're coming down to is just another writing thing.
Yeah, probably. To your point, Mulroney. He, see, I almost did it just now. He was good. It was just his
acting with the twist at the end. It just
right. Everything
bottoms out.
Everything leading up to that though was good.
Yeah,
he's an old reliable.
Yeah, he's not Dempsey.
Well,
Dempsey was the MVP of 3.
Sure.
He doesn't have the hair either. But, I mean, he carried the cop thing well. It just, when you get the third act, it just bottoms out.
Yeah, and the story that they're giving him is just not good.
No.
Friday the 13th's 8 score got
I have
credit.
That soundtrack.
Vocal effects got credit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where all the money went to the fucking music licensing.
Yeah, look at this shit. Images courtesy of, and both Shutterstock and Getty got credit.
They charge a bit.
Ghostface is its own trademark, which I don't know. There's old SAG-AFTRA.
And ACTRA, which is the Canadian equivalent.
ACTRA?
Mm-hmm. I know that because I had my original actor agreement form.
Yeah.
I took it from another website that had ACTRA on it instead of being like, if the movie made like, God, $100,000 or something like that, you'd get paid off equivalent to ACTRA.
Oh, I see.
Freaking wages. Like, I eventually figured that out and corrected it. I had people sign an updated one. But that's how I know about that. But where would you rank? I don't know, just quickly. Is this still above Scream 3, or is it kind of more on the level with it?
Definitely. 3 is still the bottom for me.
Mm-hmm.
I might put. Oh God, I really like parts of this and parts of 4.
Yeah.
Or 5 rather.
Yeah.
I think I might like 5 a little more.
Yeah.
1 and 4 are still numbers 1 and 2 for me. Beyond that, it gets a little muddy, but 3's the worst.
Yeah. So I agree. So.
Well, we'll see you next time for whatever that one is.
Post your own comments about your ratings and rankings and stuff like that, and we'll be back eventually with some other great stuff. So, guys, thanks much.
Nighty-night.
Goodbye.